On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome inside episode 405 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. And if you turned the game off at 2-0 last night when the Habs were up only 3 minutes in, well, shame on you, because the Sens stormed back 2 goals for Josh Norris and then the shootout winner. Shane Pinto gets on the board. We'll have a full breakdown of the game. Shout out our SensCentral Stand-Outs. And then we've got Mark Kastelic on the show from the Belleville Senators. They play at home for the first time in over 580 days preseason action. So we'll tee that up. And then, speaking of preseason, finally the finale of Sens preseason. 7 games. The final one will be on Saturday against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we'll tee that game up and a whole lot more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. Today is Friday, October 8th in Pilsy. With nearly a full NHL roster on both sides of the ice, the Senators battle back from an early deficit. They come out of Montreal with a 5-4 shootout victory.
Yeah, what a roller coaster ride of a game, Ross. I mean, if you were one of the fans that started watching this and 10 seconds in, Josh Anderson scores right off the hop. That's tough to watch. But if you're an Ottawa Senators fan, you know they don't always start the strongest. Last season, over the course of an entire season, they had a terrible start. But then to finish off the season, they finished strong. So that's the kind of game that the Ottawa Senators had here. They went down 2-0 and then scored 4 straight goals, and then had to keep battling as Montreal came back and ultimately win it in the shootout. So your Ottawa Senators, they may not be the best team at all times, but they always keep things interesting.
Well, we were talking earlier in the preseason when it wasn't the more veteran lineups. The second period was tough for them. The long change, they were getting dominated on the shot clock, but they won that second period 3-0 in last night's game.
Huge.
So after those first 2 goals, Josh Norris, awesome power play from his office, one-timer. Both of his goals were one-timers, different positions though, but that first one was just your classic signature Josh Norris goal. Thomas Chabot got his first of 2 assists, and Tyler Ennis as well.
Yeah, and if you're Jake Allen there, that first Josh Norris goal is tough because, Ross, as a goalie, you know, like when you don't have your stick, your whole, like, everything you've worked towards and everything you're comfortable with is thrown off. Like your whole stance, everything changes. Like, sure, it wasn't a 5-hole shot, and maybe you're thinking, well, if it wasn't 5-hole, like what's the difference? But it's a big deal. A goalie uses their stick as like a sense of balance and like to center themselves. So you can see it. Jake Allen, he's like a little bit panicked when he doesn't have a stick. He's checking like, can I grab it? It's right there. Should I grab it? Should I wait? And then ultimately he decides the play is too hot right now. I can't just reach down and grab it. I'm going to follow the play. He was in perfect position. He read the shot. Just you can't stop it when you don't have that feeling of your center of balance there. So Josh Norris and the entire Sens power play, great job on them taking advantage of that. I thought Tyler Ennis looked really good on that play too. He kept that play alive, and he had an opportunity where it looked like Jake Allen was down and out, and he could have just thrown it at the net in an act of desperation. But he's like, no, let's keep this going. Let's keep them scrambling. We'll keep cycling, and eventually we'll get a better opportunity. So that's a veteran move there, because I think a rookie or a younger player might have been like, hey, the goalie's down. Let's just get it at the net and create chaos, which isn't a terrible idea. But when you have the sense of awareness to be like, we've got them on the ropes here, let's keep it moving and get a better opportunity. That's what results in a good goal there.
No question. And Josh Norris earns his first of 2 goals, both on the power play.
Yep.
And Ottawa's power play had 7 attempts. We'll see if this crackdown continues into the regular season, or if not. One thing that we hope continues into the regular season is Shane Pinto's dominance. This goes back to the rookie tournament games against Montreal, where he had a beauty goal and led the team, wore the C in the first game. The guy wore the C in the second game. Coming up later on today's show, Mark Kastelic, as he gets ready for Belleville season. But Shane Pinto, like, let's start this play. Let's rewind it to Erik Brannstrom. A beautiful 3-line pass from his own zone, gets it right as Pinto crosses the blue line. And if you're Alexander Romanov, you're not waking up with a smile on your face today after that one.
Yeah, that's a tough play for sure, but that's just a classic case of, all right, we got a loose puck here, we got a puck battle. Who wants it more? Yep. And Shane Pinto proved, hey, I'm going to get this. I'm going to show everyone that I'm ready for the NHL. I can battle off an NHL defenseman, although him and Romanov probably similar ages. Are they even the same draft year? No, Romanov's a little earlier, I think.
But 2 years older.
Yeah, so they're similar ages, and Pinto just says, hey, I'm getting this one, and you gotta love that effort from Shane Pinto. Like, what a game for him, and it's great. He was among time on ice leaders once again, Ross. Connor Brown had about a minute more than him, but he played 22 minutes and 19 seconds. So if there's anyone out there that still is like, I wonder how they're going to use Pinto. Are they going to put him in a second-line center position? I think it's pretty obvious at this point that he's going to be relied upon heavily because the Sens don't have many other options. Let's be real here. But also, he's proven that you don't need to go to me by default, like just because I'm the guy next guy up. Like, I'll elevate my game to that level and force your hand, and I'll get that position myself.
I tweeted out at SensCentral, Josh Norris and Shane Pinto are about to embark on a season-long battle to be crowned the Sens' #1 center. And it's going to be a fun battle between those two. Of course, you give Josh Norris the leg up based on his rookie season, based on the AHL season that he had before that. But both these guys followed a very similar trajectory, staying in college for 2 seasons and both being key contributors at the World Juniors. So at that point, Ottawa ties it up 2-2. And then, okay, here we go. Chris Tierney gets himself on the score sheet. A beautiful passing play from Drake Batherson and Tim Stützle. What'd you see on that one?
Yeah, I want to highlight that pass by Tim Stützle. Again, another situation. Well, he's a younger player with the awareness. Like, that's a situation where he was at the side of the net. He's really running out of real estate here, right? Like, it's a tough angle. The defensemen are closing in on him. And he waits and waits and finds the perfect moment to sauce that pass over. And Chris Tierney's got to be saying Dunka to Timmy after that one because he needed a goal and Timmy set him up real nice. All he had to do was get his stick on it there. He didn't have to muster much up there. He didn't have to do a whole lot. Timmy made it real easy for him. And I'm happy for Chris Tierney that he ended up getting that goal. It didn't end up being Timmy who was diving in there after, although that's a great effort for Timmy, and you love to see that puck-hungry effort. But I think Chris Tierney, he really needed something to kind of to pat himself on the back with and to head into the season being like, I'm not just a guy here. I'm not just a centerman that they have at their disposal. Like, I can contribute as well, and I can be in the right place at the right time, and I can help guys like Tim Stützle and Batherson keep the play moving. Even if maybe my pace to get to the O-zone isn't quite up to snuff with them, once we're in the O-zone, I can get in the right position to score, and he does that there.
He certainly did, and I tweeted out again for that one that Timmy driving to the net so hard that's my love language there. Like, you see the loose puck, the whistle hasn't gone yet, everybody's in pure chaos mode. Yep. Just go jam it in.
Get in there.
Why not? The whistle never went, so you love to see that. All right, quickly before we get to our SensCentral standouts, that third period, things fell apart a little bit. Like, Montreal scores 2 minutes in and then with a minute left. So those momentum goals that we haven't spoken about in a while, but they still matter. The first 2 minutes of the period, the last 2 minutes of the period, and the 2 minutes following a goal on either side. As a goalie, you really need to bear down in those moments. Jeff Petrie had himself quite the game. 2 goals for him, including that game-tying goal. Seeing eye shot. What were your thoughts on how Anton Forsberg fared today? Because for me, like, that's the kind of game that if you know Philly franchise is right behind him, like, you might see yourself on waivers. Yeah,
it's a tough one for Forsberg for sure. And when I looked at the box score and saw the low amount of shots for the Habs and then 4 goals, I was like, damn, that's a tough game for Forsberg. But I rewatched the highlights and was looking at the goals, and I don't want to say a lot of them weren't his fault, but a lot of them were caused by defensive breakdowns, right? Like that Josh Anderson goal, like 10 seconds off the hop, and you get one of the best shooters on the Montreal Canadiens team coming in on a breakaway like that. Like, sure, you want your goalie to be able to make those saves one-on-one, but off the hop, a great shooter like that, like, you really put your goal in a tough spot there.
How about the pair of glove saves he made on Cole Caulfield, though? So kind of made up for it there. He flashed the leather pretty well. All right, so then they get into a shootout. Artem Zub gets his second attempt after scoring against Montreal in the meaningless shootout when they won 7-2 last Friday. But hey, another great move. Yeah, Allen made the save, but if I'm DJ Smith, I'm still looking at Artem Zub's work in the shootout and saying, all right, I can work with this. And what do you know? Josh Norris comes in, rips one upstairs. And shout out to Fan Junkies. We answered that question for him yesterday about Boone Jenner. Well, he tweeted out reminding everyone that on this show, Joey Decord came on and said Josh Norris has the best wrist shot he's ever seen. And well, I think Jake Allen would agree with that now. So the Senators 5-4 shootout victory, finally done with Montreal in preseason play. They'll have one more game against Toronto tomorrow. I've got a question for you about that game. We'll save for after the interview with Mark Kastelic. But before we get to that, Pillsy, our SensCentral Standouts, who do you have?
Well, I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit here. And Ross, I kind of mentioned last time Drake Batherson had a great stat sheet other than no goals and no assists. So I'm going to make up for that one and say, here's a better stat sheet. And it's from Josh Norris. Like 2 goals, the game winner in the shootout. Like you said, that wrist shot, like I don't think there's much better feeling than being a guy with a wrist shot like Josh Norris, coming in on a shootout and just being like, I don't have to do anything fancy here. I just have to wait it out and snipe one bar down. Like that must be like the equivalent to like a guy who's able to like just shoot threes amazingly, right? Like Steph Curry being like, I don't need to care about this defense. I'll just pull up and drain a 3 here quick. Like that must be such a good feeling. So it's great to have a guy like Josh Norris there. So he's got 2 goals on the stat sheet, 4 PIMs, 7 shots on goal, 4 hits, a block shot, no giveaways, no takeaways, face-off percentage of 57%, and time on ice right around 17 minutes. Like that's a great stat line for Josh Norris, and for him to once again let it be known that I'm comfortable saying he's easily the best shooter on this team, like regardless of what type of shot we're talking about, like especially his wrist shot. But those are one-timers that he was just teeing up and absolutely destroying. No chance for Jake Allen on either of those, I would say, and the shootout winner. So Josh Norris has to be the top SensCentral standout here.
You think that he could sense the footsteps coming with Shane Pinto? And he's like, no, I got to remind everybody.
Look, I love the idea of Shane Pinto being number 1 center, but I don't see him overpassing Josh Norris this season. Like what Josh Norris has already done in the NHL and kind of the experience he already has under his belt, he's the number 1 center here, and Shane Pinto is going to be a great second-line center. So I think it's a good battle, and maybe one day we're looking at a situation here where we have a 1A, 1B type kind of split. But for now, Josh Norris is the guy.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. A couple other SensCentral standouts. Shane Pinto, 5 shots on goal. And, of course, burying their 2 hits, just under 50% in the faceoff circle. Of course, the time on ice jumps out at you. 22 minutes and 20 seconds. On defense, I thought that Erik Brandstrom played very well, including that great assist. But for my official one, as I'm pulling it up on YouTube, after such a bad game against Toronto, where he didn't defend the back door well, Thomas Chabot was unreal last night. He and Artem Zub really showing. I mentioned last game, like even though that bad defensive coverage on the game-winning goal, you still saw some good things with him and Zub, and I thought they continued that out last night. Thomas Chabot with 2 assists, 3 shots on goal, 3 blocks, and led this team in ice time like he's done almost every single game over the last 2 seasons. But I thought Thomas Chabot was fantastic and deserving of a SensCentral standout. So there you have it. Josh Norris, Thomas Chabot, Shane Pinto, and Erik Brandstrom getting some love from us. And what did the coach think of last night's game? We'll maybe touch on that a little bit later on, but we got to get to Mark Kastelic because Belleville Senators are back. And it was a great chat with Casty. Pillsy? Like, that was a lot of fun getting to know him a bit more off the ice. Not a whole lot of hockey players from Arizona.
Yeah, it was really cool to get to know Mark Kastelic. That's a guy we've kind of had our eye on for quite a while, Ross. Like ever since he's been drafted, we're like, oh man, this guy is going to look good in a Belleville Senators uniform, and he sure does. And it was cool to get to interview him right in the I'm not sure what room that was at CAA Arena, but it was cool to have that in the background. Yeah, so that was cool too. Shout out Footy hooking us up, Footy on the air. He's going to get us a couple decent interviews coming up in the future, I'm sure. So it was a lot of fun to talk to Belleville Senators players, especially as they get their season underway. Like you're saying, Ross, the last home game, March 7th, 2020, I was there. That was my last shift working for the Belleville Senators, and I did not anticipate that was going to be the last shift there, but it's too long that those, because when Belleville's doing good, that town really shows up. Like they pack the barn, especially when the Marlies are in town. Like that is a heated rivalry. So I'm so ecstatic for the fans in Belleville that, there's no, let's be honest, there's not a whole lot to do out in Belleville. So when the Belleville Senators are playing at home, it's a massive event for the town, and a lot of families, the kids show up. So it's a great time.
Yeah, well, Belleville Senators are going to get a look at who they'll start the regular season against. Of course, it's in Belleville, unlike next week when they're at Laval, but they're playing against the Laval Rocket, Montreal's farm team. And then their last preseason game will be in Toronto on Sunday. So by Monday, we're going to have a whole lot to get to. And we also have a big interview coming up next week. We just got to figure out a time, but hey, why not? He's a friend. He's been on the show before, so let's tease it. Ridly Greig will join us next week. He just got named did I read this right? He's the 66th captain in Brandon Wheat King's history.
What?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read that. I'm going to pull it up.
Well, I don't know. Like in junior, you switch captains much more often than in the pros, but 66 sounds wild.
Yeah, I need to pull that up. We'll get that to you a little later on in the show. I'll do some fact checking, some digging there. But let's get over to Mark Kastelic. And before we do, a word from our friends at Get Upside. Hey, Sens fans, this is the Locked On Senators podcast with an incredible app everyone who buys gas needs to know about. Get Upside. My listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use promo code HOCKEY and get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Just download the app for free and use promo code HOCKEY to get up to 50 cents a gallon cash back on your first tank. Some people who drive a lot are making as much as $200 to $300 a month in cash back, and there's no catch. The cash back gets added right to your account. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift for a card at Amazon or other brands. It'll be in Canada soon. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code HOCKEY to get up to 50 cents a gallon cash back on your first tank. That's code HOCKEY at Get Upside. And now we get to our interview with Mark Kastelic. All right, we now welcome a very special guest, a fifth-round pick of the Senators in 2019. He's heading into now his second season with the Belleville Sens after a successful 5-year career with the Calgary Hitmen in the WHL, where he led the team in scoring and was team captain during his final 2 seasons. So it was nothing new when he wore the C for a game just last week when the Sens rookies played against Montreal. Mark Kastelic, welcome to Locked On Senators. Thanks for joining us, man. How's it going?
Good. How are you? And thanks for having me.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for joining us. We want to get into your whole story and falling in love with the game to now where you're at now, knocking on the doorstep of the NHL. But I'd be remiss not to start with training camp. You've been in Belleville now for a week, Ottawa the week before that. What's been the overwhelming sense? You ready to play some games starting tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm super pumped. It was nice to get a few under our belts in the NHL preseason, but it's exciting definitely to be down in Belleville and getting ready to go here. And we got a good week of practice under our belt, so it'll be a fun weekend of games coming up.
Yeah, we're stoked for Belleville to get started here too. A full season, and hopefully we
some fans.
The fans getting back in the building. We're definitely excited about that. But Mark, what we like to do when we interview players is let's take it all the way back to the beginning. So tell us, when did you first fall in love with the game of hockey? Like, do you kind of have like a core memory where you're like, this isn't just like a fun thing I do with my friends. Like, I love this.
I'm not sure the exact moment, but all I know is, like you guys mentioned earlier, it's in my blood. So It's definitely not common for a guy to be from Arizona and playing hockey at a high level, but my dad, I think, just kind of got me into it from an early age. And I'm not one of those kids where I just gravitated towards it on the TV or something like that. I think I just started when I was probably 7 or so, and I slowly just began falling in love with the game. And my dad was my coach at a young age too, and he's pushed me to get better. And he was always so supportive, as well as my mom and just my whole family. And I think it was always kind of destined to happen. But yeah, I fell in love with it at an early age, and I still have that same passion. So it's an unbelievable game to play.
So I had to get extra data for my internet just to scroll down your dad's hockey DB page. He played just about everywhere, from London in the OHL to Binghamton, which Sens fans are familiar with, where the former Sens farm team was before moving to Belleville. But what really interested me is your dad also played with two other Sens prospects' dads as well in Hartford. With Jeff Sanderson and Mark Greig as well, but he was so well-traveled, NHL, AHL, and then going over to Europe. So how did he settle on Arizona to raise you?
So I don't know if it shows on the Hockey DB, he did play for the Phoenix Roadrunners for
57 games, 158 penalty minutes. Is that good?
So yeah, so I have 3 older sisters, and I think just at that time he was kind of winding down his career, and he played in Phoenix just before he went over to Europe. And so I think my mom and my sisters just stayed behind. And I think that's kind of where they decided to settle down. And I think if my dad would have had it differently, he would like to be back in Toronto and raising me in Toronto in a hockey market. But I think I can't complain. I love being from Phoenix, and I'm just proud to be a Phoenix resident. And it's just been a different upbringing, but I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, pretty sweet to grow up in Phoenix, that's for sure. There's worse places to grow up. Now, it's starting to become more and more of a hockey market. I mean, the Arizona Coyotes have definitely helped out in that aspect, but you got a lot of talented young NHL players that are from Phoenix, Arizona. What was it like for you growing up before all that hype kind of happened? Like, what's it like playing hockey in the desert before it's really kind of a big thing?
It's definitely hard to find games locally. So instead of like being like in Toronto, you have all your local teams and you just play each other with limited travel. We were traveling all over the place for tournaments, and usually you just have one AAA team in like Arizona and the whole state. So a lot of traveling to tournaments and just practicing for like a month, and then going to play 5 games on a weekend was pretty common. And even before that, I started out in house league. So the level of play was a little bit different, but then I think, like you touched on, the competition is starting to rise, and you see a lot more guys coming from there, and guys that I played with and grew up playing with are kind of starting to make it, and they make it to college or to high level of junior. So it's definitely growing, and I think there's a lot of guys that are helping with that, grow the game down there, and even just the Coyotes, ASU, they're getting a new rink. So you can definitely see the market starting to grow, and it's really cool to see.
So now, are you still back there in the off seasons?
I go back every off season, yeah.
So is it getting easier and easier to find high level competition to go up against?
Yeah, the summer skates are like better than they've ever been the last 2 summers. You see, like Matthews is always down there, and I think a lot of guys start to gravitate towards him, and so he brings in a lot of guys, and even all the Coyotes guys tend to live there year round. So there's a ton of NHL talent down there skating in the summers, and even for a little bit skated with the ASU hockey team as well. So there's definitely more options than, say, 5 years ago, or when I was playing junior and I'd come home and it was harder to find skates for sure.
Did you ever play with Dax down there before you met him in Belleville last year? He's a friend of the show.
I know he played for ASU, but I never.
He put ASU on the map.
Yeah, I never skated with him prior to coming to Belleville, but definitely have that connection with him now.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you end up going up to Calgary, and I mean, there's quite a connection between Calgary and Arizona. Just ask Snowbirds. Anybody over the age of 60 makes that flight twice a year. But What was your first experience like going up and playing in the WHL? Like, I went to my first WHL game last night, and like, it's great quality hockey. So how did you kind of adjust going from the style of practice, one tournament to now it's every weekend, 2-3 times?
It was a big eye opener for me, and I think just even off the ice, I was definitely homesick, and I never left home before to live with another family or do all that stuff. But I think I slowly adjusted. My first year, like, was nothing spectacular, but the coach, I mean, I had to earn everything I got, and I mean, I just started out playing 5-on-5, fourth line, but slowly, just but surely, worked my way up the lineup each and every year. Got more and more comfortable with the team and the staff, and then just the city. And I think everything kind of started to align like 3 or 4 years in, and it's definitely, I consider that my second home now. And I had great billets there, and my family, it was an easy travel for them to come up all the time and watch me play. And the management and staff, I had nothing but great things to say about them. And I have a lot of lifelong friendships and relationships I've built over the 5 years there. So I wasn't able to go back last summer, the summer before, but it's somewhere I see myself going to visit often with once life kind of starting to return to normal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Banff being close by always helps too. That's a great spot. Now, you made a big impact in Calgary, obviously, with that franchise as you were the captain in your final 2 seasons. Tell us, what was it like to wear the C for a WHL team, especially in a market where hockey's a big deal like Calgary?
It was a huge honor. I couldn't have done it without all my teammates and staff, and there were so many people that groomed me through the 4 years or 3 years prior to kind of make me ready for that role. And it's not something I never really envisioned myself being the captain of the Calgary Hitmen when I first got there. I was always a shy, quiet kid and kind of kept to myself, but I started to mature a lot more as I got older. And it was a huge honor just to play for that franchise, and let alone wear the C.
So Ridly Greig, who you'd know from Sens camp, he just got named captain of the Brandon Wheat Kings today. What would be your advice to him wearing the C in a WHL?
I think is just don't change too much. Your peers and coaches picked you to wear that for a reason. And I mean, he's a great hockey player and he's a great kid. So I think that his teammates respect him a lot, I'm sure. And just to lead by example and say the right things when needed, but ultimately just be yourself, and good things should happen.
So we were at the game in Winnipeg. You were in the lineup as well. What was your thought when he goes between the legs backhand in the first period?
My thoughts were that was pretty dirty. It was a sick move, and for him to be that young and having the confidence to pull that off in the NHL preseason game is unbelievable. It was sick.
Yeah, not bad, eh? But I mean, so you got to see in Calgary and immediately go out and score 47 goals. And then the next year, in only 58 games, the COVID shortened season, you get another 38. So what was it that allowed you? I know obviously confidence, you get older, you're a big kid too. So as you're getting more mature, these younger kids are coming in. Maybe you can physically dominate, but you're putting the puck in the net more than you ever had. What does that do to your confidence? And how can you, like, one play or 2 plays kind of keep that thing rolling?
It's huge. Like, looking back on that year, kind of what was going through my head is I was disappointed I didn't get a camp invite that year. The year before, I gone to San Jose for a rookie camp and missed preseason and all that, but I didn't get a camp invite, so I played all 7 preseason games that year, and that definitely got the ball rolling early. I had a good preseason and kind of started to find my scoring touch, so it was good to get those preseason games in, and then I kind of carried over to the regular season, and I found chemistry too with my line mates that year pretty early. I had 2 really good line mates. My last 2 seasons, I developed a great chemistry, and we had 2 solid teams as well, so that didn't hurt. And like you touched on, just the confidence started to grow and grow, and it became to where every night I just good things were happening. And I think also a lot of it stemmed just from off the ice, the hard work I put in. I take pride in being one of the hardest workers and just being there early and staying late. And I think just the hockey world, gods work in mysterious ways. I'm a believer in that just you get rewarded in ways that you wouldn't expect just for putting in the hard work and doing a little bit extra.
Well, we got to thank the hockey gods once again for San Jose's mistakes working out for the Ottawa Senators, because it was great that they didn't show more interest in you, because you're drafted 125th overall in 2019 by the Ottawa Senators. We love hearing about guys' draft day experiences. So what was your draft day like, Mark?
It was good. Like, I had, going into the draft, I really didn't have too much expectation. Just from the 2 years prior, I kind of got my hopes up a little bit too much. And so by the third year, I was just, whatever happens, happens. I had heard interest, a little bit more interest from more teams than usual. So I was excited about that. And so when day 2 rolled around, I was just kind of just following the draft with my mom and dad. Were the only 2 ones home. I didn't really have a big experience, draft part here, none of that. But I'm just kind of hanging out on the couch with my dad. I was honestly just in my bathing suit, probably. It was summertime. I'm just hanging out. And then my agent gave me a call, and he just said Ottawa Senators. And then I was fired up. And then about like 3 seconds later, I saw it on TV, and
That's awesome.
I think my dad was ecstatic, and my mom was in the garage working out or something, and he ran and get her, and we were all just super pumped. And it was probably that one of the happiest moments for me and my family to that point. And that after that, it was pretty quick turnaround. I just kept kind of just carried on as usual and kept working and finished that day. And then I think the next day or 2 flew to Ottawa for dev camp. So it was pretty amazing experience that I'll never forget.
And then following that next season, COVID had already hit. Everybody's unsure about what's to come, except you get a 3-year entry-level contract, and it came together well. And also because, as you mentioned, you're passed over in the draft before, you were already playing your overage season in Calgary. So it was kind of a natural transition. I was going to say, what was your first game like in Belleville? Well, it was in Ottawa, I guess, with no fans in front, but you quickly found a home, quite the checking line. You and Parker Kelly seemed like you were attached at the hip. What about his game complements yours so well to be effective?
I think he just works
we call him the shift disturber.
Yeah, that's a fair name for him. He just works and works, and that for a line mate, that's a line mate's dream, is a guy who he just works and he stirs it up. And I think he definitely has some touch too. So I think he had a pretty good offensive year last year, in my opinion. And I think he's just fun to play with, and it doesn't hurt that he's from the Western League too. So we have that natural chemistry right away, I think. And he's a great guy off the ice too. So it's really exciting to see the success he's starting to have too. So it's awesome.
Yeah, we're big Parker Kelly fans, that's for sure. And we're a fan of your game as well, Mark. And so you got a taste of the AHL, only about 31 games last season. What are kind of your goals for this season now that it's more of a regular style AHL season, and you're going to get some more games and some more playing time? What are some goals that you have for yourself for this season?
I think just I haven't thought in too much specific numbers and all that, but I think just being another year wiser, continue to earn the coach's respect and earn some more opportunity, just playing power play and PK. I know our coach down here likes to have guys play certain roles, but I think I can be a good 2-way guy and contribute to both of those like I did in junior. And then just being a good 2-way centerman that's dominant on face-offs, responsible in my own zone, and just contributing to the team more and being a guy, more of a go-to guy than I was last year, is something that I hopefully I can grow into.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing your development, Mark. And it was great to get to know you a little bit more off the ice. And I think fans will really resonate with that as they see you continue to grow into the player we know you can become. Final question for me, and Igor's obviously a friend of the show. You were skating on a line with him today. How often does he tell you to get him the puck?
Never. He's humble. He knows we're getting him the puck. So, and we all know he's a shooter. So I think it just, not much needs to be said there. Everybody kind of knows what's expected.
Does he ever give it? Do you ever give it to him that his high in junior was 46 goals and you hit 47?
I've given it to him, but then he'll hit me back with, I think he played less games. So.
Oh, come on.
Hey, that'll happen. And you got some catching up to do in the AHL scoring race too. So he's got that one up on you for now.
Yeah, he does. But it's all good competition. It's all fun. So we push each other to get better, which is great.
That's awesome. Well, you guys are in action this weekend, preseason, and then the real thing gets underway next Friday in Laval. Mark, really appreciate you taking the time with us. Look forward to doing this again down the road.
Thank you for having me, and definitely I'd be open to it, and it's great catching up.
Stick taps to Mark for joining us on the show. We're wishing him all the best in the upcoming season. Great guy as well. And we have confirmed that Ridly Greig was the 66th captain in Brandon Wheat Kings history. Unbelievable, but really cool timing, hey, Pills, that we got to have Kastelic on the show, who was a captain himself in the WHL. Nice little piece of advice he gave for Ridly.
Absolutely. And yeah, like I feel like Ridly Greig is a great junior captain because he's going to be a guy that drags the rest of the teammates into the battle, right? Like sometimes, you get guys coming up, they're fresh into junior, they're not quite ready. And Ridly Greig's going to say, I feel like he's the kind of guy where his motto is the best way to teach someone how to swim is to throw them in the water, right? So I think that's the kind of guy he's going to be. And not only does he bring up-tempo energy and physicality, the kid can score some nasty goals too. And I expect to see, I wouldn't be surprised, Ross, if we see a highlight reel play from Ridly Greig every single game.
Oh, yeah.
That's the dominant level he's at in the WHL right now.
And I was rewatching after he was named captain the goal he scored right in front of our eyes in Winnipeg. Yeah. And the commentator said that might be the best goal he scores all year. And I was like, that's kind of rude. You don't know what Ridley's got in his bag of tricks. So Honestly, we're going to be looking forward to that as he finds his way back into the Brandon Wheat Kings lineup tonight. And also this weekend coming up, North Dakota starts their season. Nice. Boston University starts their season with Tyler Boucher. Lots going on in the hockey world, so make sure you're following us at SensCentral. You've got our personal Twitter accounts right under there. You can throw us a follow as well. And on Instagram, lockedon.senators. And as things are ramping up, it means more things to wager on at BetOnline. Good thing for BetOnline, the number one sports book right here at the Locked On Podcast Network, and for good reason as well, because the Locked On promo code gets you a 50% welcome bonus. I pulled it up right here on YouTube. Promo code Locked On gets you a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So this is how you do it. You go to BetOnline, you make your free account, and when you put your first deposit in, there's a spot for a promo code, and now you have one. Poof. And I don't know if you saw the NHL futures, but right now, get it while it's hot. Shane Pinto is at plus 2,800 to win the Calder Trophy. That's free money, I think. Unconfirmed, but you won't find better odds than that at BetOnline. So go there right now. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore. Get into the action. And don't forget the promo code Locked On to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
And guys, if you're reaching for a protein bar and you're looking for something that tastes good but also has health benefits, I gotta tell you about Built Bar, the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. I'm not kidding around when I say that. I've tried pretty much every single flavor and I've been amazed each time. There's over 16 amazing flavors. The bars are low sugar, low calories, but high protein and high fiber. So you gotta love that. And if you're a chocolate lover, there's no better place for you than Built.com, because all of their protein bars, even the Built Puffs, are covered in 100% real chocolate. You gotta love that. And I feel like I say this every time, but yet again, Built Bar coming out with a great flavor. If you guys like, which one of my favorites is strawberries dipped in chocolate. Those are so damn tasty. Well, I've got something for you. It's Built Puffs Strawberry. So the Built Puffs, they're covered in chocolate. Like I said, every single Built Bar protein bar is covered in chocolate. Then you get that marshmallow kind of soft, chewy texture inside. And then you get the strawberry flavor there as well. So marshmallows, good. Chocolate, good. Strawberries, good. So strawberry Built Bar Puffs, good. And to make things a little sweeter, guys, Locked15 is a promo code we've got for our loyal listeners, and that will get you 15% off your next order. So, guys, Check it out today. Don't just take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Go to built.com. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off your next order at built.com. Built Bar, the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar.
All right, Pilsy. So the Belleville Senators, they have their 2 preseason games coming up, but the Senators, it all comes down to Saturday at Toronto. I'm going to start in between the pipes as a goalie-friendly show. Matt Murray was sick on Thursday, so it's a little tough to gauge right now, but if he's available, would you put him in for the entirety of that game? Gustafson's already had, a game and a half through this preseason. Forsberg's played 2 games. Is it Matt Murray's net here? Are you going with your opening night lineup on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. You definitely want to get Matt Murray ready. And like we said in yesterday's episode, this is a real good opportunity for him. Playing the Leafs Saturday, then the Leafs the home opener, and then the Leafs right after. So 3 straight Leafs games. So that's definitely something you want to get your number 1 guy in to be ready for, especially you want him ready for that home opener, because nothing gets a season started off better than the Sens beating the Leafs at home to get the season going. So I want to see Matt Murray here. We don't really know what kind of illness he's got here. DJ said it's not COVID related, thankfully. So hopefully he's feeling better, feeling healthy, and ready to go.
Let's move to the back end now. And we saw Del Zotto as the odd man out in last night's game, and Josh Brown as well. So that pair was the 4th pair in practice, like we predicted. Now, Nikita Zaitsev had a tough game. That was not...
The Mete-Zaitsev pair, not great there.
Not great at all. And they got the ice time to match that. I don't know what happened with Artem Zub, if he missed any time that we didn't see, because he played the least out of any Ottawa Senators defenseman, whereas Victor Mete was right behind him. And then I thought that Nick Holden and Eric Brandstrom pair was awesome. So
yep,
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that that's in there for game 1. And right after DJ Smith praises Brandstrom for him to go out and have the performance that he did, how important is it for him to back it up again on Saturday? And if he does, do you think he can make sure that he's in that opening night lineup?
Yeah, it was a great game for Brandstrom. Not only offensively, like you mentioned, that pass he made was great, but defensively, I think you clipped that play too and tweeted it.
Sickos, we got to give credit for there.
Yep, yeah, definitely. And that was a good play too, but kind of hilarious how he ends up falling and slipping. Not the best aesthetic there, but hey, you got the job done and you got the puck away from the player, so that was great too. Speaking of which, a similar style play was Tim Stützle when he fanned on that pass, leaving his own zone, and then is like, hey, I lost the puck here. I'm just going to drill this player in front of me, just separate the player from the puck. And hey, that's what you got to do sometimes. So I love seeing that. But sticking on Brandstrom, this is very important for him, because with Del Zotto, I'm glad that DJ Smith is kind of sticking to his gun, or not sticking to his guns, but sticking to his word here and being like, hey, best players got to play, because Del Zotto has not been good, so he's not playing. It's not just a contract veteran type thing where we're going to put him in just to put him in. Brandstrom could outplay him here for sure and solidify his spot on the NHL roster, which I believe he belongs. However, I don't think we're gonna see it. I just have a feeling that he's gonna give Del Zotto more chances coming up here. It's the preseason, so you're not quite sure what to expect here, and also the contract situation. So unfortunately, I think even if Brandstrom does have another great game, they're gonna send him down to Belleville and give Del Zotto another opportunity here. No. I don't want that, but I can definitely see that happening.
You can't say best players play and do that. You just can't.
Yep.
And Del Zotto has not been good in the small sample size, yes, but there's a large sample size of his career. And we thought you'd be different. We thought we could fix you, MDZ. But unfortunately, looks like, hey, they're saving money compared to what they were paying Mikkel Bodker to sit up in the press box the last 2 years. They're paying him $3 million off his $4 million cap, and now you got $2 million Del Zotto. 2 million Michael, we'll call him as a guy going forward. He'll get his games with Ottawa, but I think opening night, you can't not stick to your word and play the guys who've been the best in preseason. And Nick Holden's been awesome as well.
Liked him.
Really been impressed with his play so far. All right, so that's Saturday's game, Toronto, Ottawa. Feel the excitement as it is a prelude to what we'll see next Thursday. Pilsy and I will be at the Canadian Tire Center on Thursday. I'll be flying into Ottawa on Monday. So Monday's show will come a little bit later on in the afternoon. And then, as we mentioned, we got a great interview coming with that. Hope you enjoyed Mark Kastelic. Pilsy, a couple notes before we go, however. Team Germany everyone's announcing their first 3 players right now. So the Germans, you knew Draisaitl was going to be there. Shocker. You knew Philip Grubauer was going to be there. 2 established NHLers, but they picked Moritz Seider over Timmy Superstar. What the heck?
I mean, both of those guys are obviously going to make the team, and maybe they're just looking for forward defenseman goalie to really flex. But man, Timmy's already got a good season in the NHL under his belt. He was a stud in the DEL. Like he was a stud for them in the World Juniors. You think you could throw him a bone and be like, hey, this is a guy that really internationally is elevating our game. But whatever, that's just it's the Michael Jordan meme, right? And I took that personally. Yep. And we're going to see how that works for Timmy. And while we're on Olympic player mentions, shout out Rudy Balsters for Team Latvia. I love to see that he's still going. It's still a sad spot in my heart that he was gone and picked up off waivers by the San Jose Sharks, but I'll get over it. I'm still cheering for Rudy, Red Light Rudy. So that's awesome that we're going to see him in an international stage.
Yeah, absolutely. With Team Latvia. And then you got to think Matt Sogard has an outside chance of being there with Team Denmark and a couple former Senators. We just mentioned Bodker. And then we've got Peter Regan. Still playing. So lots of Olympic talk coming up as the Ottawa Senators only played 2 games in the month of February 2nd and the 26th. Outside of that, it's going to be locked on Beijing Olympics. Let's go. We cannot wait for that. First true best on best tournament since the Sochi games in 2014 when Canada let in 7 goals in 6 games. Like it was a complete shut it down defensively effort. So, hey, can't wait for that. And if Josh Norris keeps shooting the lights out, can he sneak his way on a Team USA? Maybe a bit of a stretch, but at the same time, this kid is completely lights out. So, yeah, lots going on there, Pilsy. And then Aleks Barkov, like imagine being able to sign your players to contracts right away. Wouldn't that be nice?
Signing bonuses.
I think it was yesterday that it came out. It's like, Florida's working on an extension with Barkov, and then boom, he signs right away. Like, wow, that sounds really nice. He gets, you're right, you mentioned signing bonuses, over $70 million.
Oh my God.
Of his $80 million contract. 8 years, $80 million, 70 plus in signing bonuses.
See, that's a little aggressive. Like I'm not expecting the Sens to fork that out, but hey, it's not about the money, it's what the money says. I think that's the thing, right? Like Barkov's like, hey, I'm one of the top guys in the league. I've dealt with a bunch of crap playing in Florida. Like there's no fans. We've had a terrible team for a long time, and I've stood it out here. And I'm demanding to get the respect I feel like I deserve, and he's got it. And I mean, if you're Brady Tkachuk, you're in a similar scenario, right? Like it's been a tough go for his NHL career. He's been the best player on this team for years, and he just wants that respect. Like Brady knows the money's coming to him. He knows he's going to get paid. He knows he's going to make bank over his career, but he wants to be in a position where he's looking around at his peers and being like, I am at a similar level as these guys because of the respect my contract demands. And you can't blame him for that. So if it's not going to be like 90% in signing bonuses like the Florida Panthers, then just give him the leverage that he wants in other ways, the contract structure, the clauses, all that kind of stuff. Like it's embarrassing that we're at this point again for Sens fans. Like it's come full circle. We were told it wasn't going to come full circle. We were told this time it was going to be different, and it hasn't changed. We can't keep doing this. So I don't know. Do you have any hope that Brady's going to be there for the home opener, or it's just fully gone out of your mind?
It's gone, buddy.
I'm holding on to a little bit of hope. Probably not realistically, but I think by the time when Monday comes around, so next episode, if he's not signed, then yeah, we're smashing panic buttons.
You're smashing the panic button? I need the update right here.
No, I'm not smashing it now. On Monday's episode, if he's not signed, I'm smashing the panic button. I like you guys know we're a little bit on the optimistic side here, so I'm just holding out because I can't imagine being there, me, you, Liam's Martian, all the Sens fans. It's the home opener, and they're announcing the starting lineup, like the line that's going to start right away, and number 7, Brady Tkachuk, is not there. I can't, like, my brain cannot comprehend that. That's literally what it's at this point. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, we'll chat Monday, and hopefully Brady's got a brand new contract by then. I would love nothing more than for this little ending segment to be aged well before then. Even if it's aged before we post, we'll probably have to do an emergency pod afterwards, but we need Brady there. And by the way, no Austin Matthews for the opening game either, right? He's still recovering from wrist surgery. So, well, at least there's, an eye for an eye in a sense. But let's not kid ourselves. And if you're Brady Tkachuk, if you're listening, Brady, no offense, but you're not Alexander Barkov. Like, you can't even go into the realm of that conversation. A centerman who's been already on his second contract. This is his third contract, right? He was making like 5.9 or something before that. He was one of the most underpaid players in the league.
Definitely.
And I'm pretty sure this is an extension. Yeah, it is. Of course it is, because he's already signed for this year. It's not kicking in until next year. So he's going to be like 26 years old. So yeah, if Brady wants a bridge deal, just get it done. Like at this point, just get it done. Get him in the lineup, because if you only have him for his second contract, right, then don't you want to maximize the amount of time he's actually playing? Doesn't really make much sense to have him sitting at home, because he's not going to sign something he's not comfortable with. And if you're the Sens, maybe take that personally. Maybe, go out there and try to do something to make this team better and stop trying to tiptoe to get to the cap floor. And if you can do that, then, hey, maybe this team could be great one day, because the pieces are all in place right now. Like, there is a ton of talent coming up with this team. So hopefully Brady can join the boys sooner rather than later. So that's a tough note to go in on the weekend. Hopefully we get Brady done, and we'll be back on Monday, hopefully breaking down the Brady Tkachuk extension. Until then, we say goodbye. Again, a reminder, follow us on Twitter at SensCentral, and subscribe on YouTube. It does go a long way. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.